The United States also has no friends. So they have to get together.
I speak as a Christian. I asked the question of Mr. Findley. The question was raised earlier on. Why is there such a big lobby in the United States Congress against the Arab states? And I asked him, and I think he agrees with me, I did speak to him, it's based upon the false Christian doctrine of premillennialism, which tries to put Christ back on the physical throne in Jerusalem. And so the people in the United States who lobby against the Arabs are scared that they're going to blaspheme God if they don't allow this to happen. But my question to him is it not true that the doctrine of premillennialism is false? And in fact, in Christianity, there's neither Jew nor Greek, male nor female, bond nor free. We are all one together.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. One day in rural Illinois, when I was seeking re-election to Congress, a young man, a very serious young man who was then an official of the county government, came to me and he said, with nothing in the way of malice in his manner, he said with greatest sincerity, I must warn you, what you are saying and attempting to do in regard to the Middle East is going against God's will. You are going against God's plan, and I fear for you. And he was very serious. This man believed in the doctrine of millennialism. Yes. He also believed in biblical prophecy, under which God granted to the people of Israel the right to certain land in the Middle East. He believed that the day of judgment will come, and in his view, the sooner the better. And when that day comes, there will be a great battle on the plain of Armageddon between the forces of good and evil. And Christians will be raptured above the battle and be safe. And in that battle, the forces of good will triumph. And all of the Jews on earth at that moment will either be destroyed or converted instantly to Christianity. Now, this young man was not an isolated figure in my district. There are thousands of people in my constituency who believe exactly as he did. And when one takes the entire nation as a whole, there are probably 40 million American citizens that hold to that doctrine. This means that they support Israel. They want Israel to be strong until that moment of Armageddon. They believe it is their duty as Christians to give every bit of political support they can to the military strength of the State of Israel. 40 million American citizens holding to this notion of biblical prophecy that I don't believe at all. Most American Christians reject it, but still there is this enormous body of Christians who do support this idea. And they, in effect, are a part of the lobby for the State of Israel in America today. They cannot be ignored. They're difficult to reason with, but they are there and they are effective, and it's part of the problem that we face.
Thank you. That's very well.
Thank you.
A question to the ex-Congressman Paul Findley, please. Mr. Findley, a quick glance at your book, I see the first edition was in 1985. You were a congressman for 22 years, which I assume was from 1960 onwards. Is that correct? Now, the question here is, when exactly did you start with your sort of crusade against the American aid to Israel? Was it before the 67 war or after the 67 war?
The question the gentleman has posed to me is, when was it that I began to speak out about Middle East policy? It happened quite by accident. One of my constituents was arrested in faraway South Yemen. He was accused of espionage by the government of South Yemen and arrested and put in prison. I had to go to South Yemen to plead for his release. And in the process, I heard for the first time the Israeli side of the problem. I heard from, I should say, the Arab side of the problem. I talked to the president of Syria. I talked with officials in Lebanon. I talked with many officials in South Yemen. And after that experience, I began to speak out. That was in 1973, March of 1973.
I have one last question. Mr. Deedat, you and Mr. Findley have now been firing up our emotions that I, and I think many others, are on the verge to go to war and defend our Muslim brothers and sisters in Palestine. Please tell us what to do.
The question is, Mr. Deedat and you have been firing up our emotions so that I, and I think many others, have been on the verge of wanting to go to war and defend our Muslim brothers and sisters in Palestine. Please tell us what to do. I'm not the one to tell South Africans what to do in the Middle East. I can say what I am trying to do as an American in the United States. I am trying to persuade our Congress and our President to suspend all aid to Israel until this brutality and occupation and denial of human rights comes to an end. U.S. aid to Israel strengthens the radicals in Israel, and the sooner we put strict conditions on U.S. aid to Israel, the sooner that state will have to behave in a normal and conventional fashion in its relationship with its neighbors. If U.S. aid were suspended, Israel would by necessity have to come to terms quickly with its neighbors. I am trying to advance that cause in the United States through my books and through my lectures.
I would like to be very brief in saying a great big thank you to our visiting speakers and to Mrs. Findley. A great big thank you to Mr. Deedat, and a very great big thank you to all of you for having been so patient. I will ask my brother to read a short dua in closing. Please be seated.